And I think now we would go into something a little bit more subjective. Also quite subjective, but a little bit more less philosophical, but now more really out there, right? And I'm going to ask you this question:
Mm.
will you consider relocating abroad, even if you already earn over 4.5 million naira per month? And wait. No. As I said, no, we have done the philosophical bit. I want you to tell
Yeah,
me yes or no. And
myself
I
would be
know
yes.
that yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Tell me why.
I mean,
4.5 million a month, bro.
I know. I mean, this is
Okay.
something um that I wouldn't take lightly. I'm not underestimating the fact that 4.5 million naira a month in Nigeria is a lot for you to live fine and I mean live really or have a really beautiful life. Um, in my opinion, there are just some things that I feel like from my experience that is still kind of limiting to the kind of life that I want that I can't necessarily get regardless of me making that amount of income. For example, I would give like from my personal experience, a major challenge for me um, is the whole police situation in Nigeria, right? It's something that has affected me a lot. In my early 20s, I was this, I had like a few businesses that were successful and everything, and I mean, I had nice car. At the point, I had two cars, right? Like, so like, and I'm not. I mean, you know me, right? I'm not like the one to really. I'm not that corporate when it comes to how I appear or how I express myself, like fashion wise. I tend to be a little more casual. I mean, I've had like my dreads like turn into white at some point. Like, I can really come off and be like, oh, the typical stereotype of like, oh, okay, maybe even a Yahoo boy and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's another question to then ask, like, why would you also dress like that? But I mean, I feel like that's not,
Yeah. I
so,
think, yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, so like,
Like
um,
sorry, just to say, like, I get it. Yeah, but that's another conversation, actually. Yeah,
yeah,
go on.
yeah. So like, then I've had to face like, um, brutality in a way, like just using the buzzword, right? Like, unlike the police, because they expect someone of your age, at that point to not be able to have amass that amount of like success. So if that's something 4.5 million naira wouldn't do for me, unless I feel like I'm ready to then play the game. You know what I'm talking about when it comes to Nigerian situation, and that alone is enough for me to just feel like, you know what, nah, if I'm making 6 million, if I still feel like I can have a um much more secured and safe life anywhere else, I would jump at that. And yeah, so it's not because the money isn't enough, it's because of the security, and two, the security of the longevity of how much you're making. What's the guarantee that in 3 years you'll still make that same amount? What was the yeah? So let's say for those two reasons, that's why I would definitely still want to leave Nigeria when I'm earning that much money. If
Yeah, I
that
think that
makes
sounds.
sense.
No. It does. It does. Like 100%. When you think about it,
Yeah.
security is a big question, and if you have to worry about the people that's the people that should be protecting you, if these are the people that you have to worry about, then it becomes even a bigger question when you talk security, right? So it makes a lot of sense. Trust me, and the idea of the sustainability of what you earn. It's a big question as well. However, I do think that there are ways in Nigeria to make sure that if you
Yeah.
get to that kind of earning,
Why I said that,
it's
sorry to cut you
sustainable.
short.
Yeah.
Why I said that was because I mean, when I was making something close to at least somewhere around this, because I've been there, like, so it's like I was a business guy, so I was a businessman, so it wasn't like, so the situation in Nigeria is quite different because of the political situation. So your business can go from really doing fine just now, like this year and next year there's an election and everything could come crashing. So if you're earning like 4.5 as an employee, then you might be much more secure. But when you own a business that is giving you income from your own business, then that's why the security is then different a lot.
Yeah, if you have to carry all the risk and you have not,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when you carry the entire risk of the business, it's a big question because one thing breaking,
One
credit
minor thing. Yeah, yeah.
could have a huge impact on your entire
Like the
sustainability of
dollar
your works.
difference, all these things could just really mess up your business. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think that's a valid point. But so
What do you think?
yeah, I know you were going to. You see, I was already jumping in because I know you're going to ask what I think. Right.
Yeah.
So just for the sake of it, okay, I'll give two answers. What do
Okay.
I think? Easy, so that everyone knows. So that everyone knows. It's no. Okay. So that
Okay.
everyone knows. And
Why
of
would
course, our experiences as well shapes these answers, right?
100%?
And
Yeah.
I'm going to go into the why. However, there's another part of me that says yes, and it's not for the reasons that you have mentioned,
Yeah.
right? I
I
think
mean,
the yes,
I'm excited to. Yeah. I want to hear how you
yeah,
put
because the yes is not my actual answer. I will just quickly tell you why that side of me says yes. The side of me that says yes is only saying yes for the side of me that says this is going to sound crazy. The side of me that says yes is only saying yes for I see a route to accelerating from something like 4.5 a month to something like 20 a month, right?
it.
I see a
Mm,
route that accelerates me to that amount without um without hurting too many people, right?
mm. What
So
does that even mean?
yeah, this is what it means. I see that I can, manage to get a job,
Mm,
right? I can manage to get a job or start something that pays me 20 million naira a month without participating in certain things, right? Literally, I can be a consultant, walk into an office, and I'm billing, even as a freelance consultant. If you are good enough, if you have enough experience,
mm,
you can, before remote work and all that stuff. I'm keeping in mind, at the time that we were in Nigeria, before remote work became a thing, you can
yeah.
be abroad and build 200, $300,000 a year. When you split that up, right? Of course, taxes is another story. And I'm keeping in mind this is net earnings, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the yes. That's the reason for the yes. Like how I made the money, what do I need to plug into to accelerate that? But it's a no
Fast.
for me, actually, because thank God we talked about the inherent good or bad, right?
Yeah.
Within the laws of Nigeria, within what is acceptable, I see a route to do it faster in Nigeria to take myself from 4.5 to 20 a month. Because at 4.5, I must have plugged into certain things, and I will explain.
Mm,
At 4.5, I must have plugged into certain things. So, my experience in Nigeria, before I left Nigeria, I was in corporate. So,
yeah.
I never had the police issue, for example. You also know that generally, I mean, forget, all this, but generally, I tend to go more in the more
Yeah. The corporate dress. Yeah,
yeah
I know.
corporate
Yeah.
kind of this is
Yeah.
my alter ego, guys. Yeah, this is my alter ego. But so I and my background and certain things, I never had the security question. Of course, there's another security question that has to do with kidnapping, and that's another story. But let's say I also wasn't going out,
And you
like if
mentioned something, this, sorry to cut you short, you mentioned this particular instance of response time. Maybe you want to talk about, because that's stuck with me when we discussed this, like, I think a while ago. And you're like, when you get into an accident, for you, the response time
yes,
is also another thing. Yeah,
it's
that's
an
another
issue.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an issue. So security, health, and all that stuff could be an issue.
yeah.
Keep in mind, when I was in Nigeria, I had premium health insurance, right? I could
I
do
do.
surgery on
Really.
insurance. Yeah, and these are the things that I'm saying. Like plug, yeah, I know. These are things that I already tried as much as possible to secure myself somehow in Nigeria.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and I can never stop seeing Nigeria as a land of opportunities because it's absolutely there. We have so many things that we don't have that makes it much easier, this acceleration that I talked about. The only
mm,
problem with it is it would be within the law, and this hurting people that I said, it would be within the law, but people might find it less than optimal. So, for example, if I
yeah,
would be in Nigeria and I'm earning 4.5 million, maybe that means that I can suddenly supply something that is 20 million to the government. And 100% absolutely, which is the way it's been done anywhere in the world,
yeah,
I would try to use my network to try to get a contract that is 40 million and spend 20 million and make a profit or whatever, right? And maybe I can do this 3 times a year.
yeah.
Nigerians would argue, right? We would like to argue that my connections should not be that effective, but that's how it works anywhere in the world.
That's how life works. That's what I want to hear.
Exactly. It's how life works. But the problem is the context of Nigeria is a bit different because um, if I get a contract of 40 million and it cost me 20 million to deliver, they
Yeah,
might argue, well, we don't have that much money. Why didn't I bid 25 million, right? Do the contract for 25 million is enough profit. And that's the hurting people bit because then the 15 million can go into another contract that delivers something to the people. So if I
okay.
want to accelerate things, I might price things high. I might have contracts that and then with your network and other stuff, still gets things done. But
Yeah,
because of the socioeconomic factors in Nigeria, you might argue that it hurts people to go after profit so much. So
yeah.
when I do the full capitalism thing in Europe or the North America,
Yeah,
it's fine because people have the basic needs, right? So I can say, well, this is my service is $500,000, and I
yeah,
get my pay, and that's why I said I see the path, I see the route, without feeling like I hurt anyone, which is where that yes comes from. But in Nigeria, I see the route and it's potentially even easier because it's less competition in Nigeria,
that's what I
right?
wanted to say.
But
It's
you
a lot
might
easier.
feel exactly, but I might feel like it hurts people. And again, within the nuance that exists in all these conversations, I'm only saying it for the nuance. Honestly, if you have a business, go for as much profit as you want to, as your heart allows you to, without feeling terrible.
Yeah,
I think the market adjusts, right? At some point, you will also get enough competition or something that brings that down. And if you don't, good for you. You found a great niche.
yeah. I
Um,
feel like,
I
I
don't
mean,
expect, and this is me, I don't expect anyone to be good just for the sake of being good. If we don't have the incentives in place, then people will play the game and try to achieve as much as they can for themselves,
absolutely. I mean, anywhere
right?
in the world.
And
Yeah,
those are the lapses that I see in Nigeria that makes me think if I earn 4.5 million naira a month, I would have the network and I would have, because of the cost of living in Nigeria as well, I will have enough to set aside to be able to play a much bigger game that runs me, accelerates my earnings like crazy because the incentive systems that we currently have in Nigeria allows me to do so. Taxes are amazingly good.
yeah.
Um, Competition is, whether we like it or not, people might think Nigeria is competitive, but trust me, it's not.
I
When you
mean,
offer great service, when you have a quality stuff, you don't have competition. You're
yeah,
bouncing, you're doing great.
yeah,
Not to say that we don't have quality stuff in Nigeria. We do, and that's why we have a lot of billionaires as well. They do
Yeah.
offer something that just not a lot of people are willing to put in the work to offer, or maybe you're willing to put in the work, don't have the access to provide. And that's where the 4.5 million thing starts to come in, right? And you see why for me it's an absolute no. I always say this thing to say, if I wasn't at 4.5, it's a completely different question. 500K to 4.5 might be a very difficult thing to do. But at 4.5, you're already at a very good point that you can spend 1 million a month living like a king, clubbing,
You
once a
can
while.
become your own mini government if you like.
Exactly. And you provide everything for yourself. Your internet is great, your electricity is great, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So if the question was 500K, it's an absolute yes, I'm relocating. 1 million, absolute yes. But once you start crossing that 4 million mark, it's a completely different conversation because I know how well I can live on
For
1
me,
to
then it will
1.5
be
million.
how long are you guaranteeing me? That
That
would
I can
then make
earn that
me
amount of
evaluate.
money. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like if you cross that line, right? Even if it's a job, if you lose that job, something like I feel like
Yeah,
if you
you
get
should be able
compensated
to.
enough for something to that point, you'll be able to
You're
make a
already
really
experienced
yeah,
to, yeah,
yes, your exposure, your everything is there. That
to
yeah,
replace it.
this scenario is a very different conversation,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's why.
I mean,
And
I
for me,
wanted to add to your point
yeah.
that, yeah, another reason then would also be because, I mean, one should not also forget how extremely competitive, like you said, or I didn't want to use difficult. I think competitive would be the word. Like just for the mere fact that you are a Nigerian in Nigeria, it's a lot of
Bam.
like positive
People do
type
not
of opportunity.
understand that. Thank you for saying this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for saying this.
Yeah.
See,
It makes a
let's forget
huge
about the
difference.
way you would feel being a Nigerian in Nigeria,
Yeah.
right? The system is also there. And I appreciate the Western system. I know a lot of people like to say, well, I don't get this much opportunity and all that stuff. But I'll be very polarizing here to say, yes, it's not your country. I'm sorry. Even when you become citizen and all that stuff, great stuff, right? And it's good that we can even go that far. We know how difficult it is to become a Nigerian citizen if you are not actually a Nigerian, as an example. So even when you become a citizen and stuff, maybe certain things is still not exactly the way it works for the people that were born and bred there, regardless of color now. But that's fine. There's a lot that if you move in early, I'll give an example. People that I know that grew up here, they can tap into certain experiments. I'm a student, but I already have an e-commerce business because
Yeah.
I grew up here. I understand what the risk means. But you
Exactly.
relocate here, starting an e-commerce business as someone that relocates without, people at home, without all that stuff, because, it's a big, completely different
You have to
conversation. You
learn
really
like
don't have
the fundamentals, yeah, of not even business, of the country
of
itself
the
first.
country, of the system,
Before,
exactly.
yeah, before you then
And when you learn it, there's another point at which you have learned it, but do you even feel confident enough to then start experimenting with that knowledge?
yeah.
But when you grow up there, you know that you're not going anywhere. Your worst case scenario, you actually grew up with getting $1 a day from your parents to school, so you know what it means to just have $1 a day. When you relocate there, even if you're just working care job or something, you actually, bruh, just think about this. We've been up, you know how it has been for us for a while. Do you
Yeah.
think you have experienced the idea of only being able to survive on $2 or euro or pounds or something a day? Yeah,
Uh,
you really. But you know what? That experience is something. You see that experience of when I was in primary school, I only got 2 naira to school.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
valid experience because the way you see the money is very different. You remember when we got here, we see 50 euros or $50 or something, and we think,
yeah,
And then you talk to someone that grew up here, even a white person, and they're like, 50 euros for what?
yeah,
And you're like,
yeah.
it's 50 euros. Even
Yeah.
though it doesn't mean you have that much money, it's just difficult to view the currency as
The
such.
full, yeah, yeah,
It
the
makes a
full scope.
huge difference, the understanding that you have of Nigeria. I think everyone just needs to say positive, but Nigeria is a great, great land of opportunity. And we see certain people that have plugged into Nigeria. I mean, we were talking about the Stanley Wachuku, the Obi Kubanas, and
Yeah.
and Shei Ivodi and co. They are in Nigeria, and what they are doing, the pool
Successful
they are
business.
doing. I don't want to know the kind of success you are getting abroad. You have to think about this. I think Stanley Wachuku launched uh, an hotel, right? And bro, that was brutal to see.
That was like,
Right,
yeah,
the Dalborough Hotel. I mean, just plugging it in there. This
the
hotel,
whole
nice
thing.
hotel and all that stuff. But the opening of the hotel,
Yeah.
tell me the people that were there. Just tell people. Maybe I mean you can go check it out on
For
Instagram.
me, you know what I responded when I was like, the whole Nigeria was there, man. Like, I mean, he was able to pull
Yeah, two
two
ex
ex-presidents. Like,
presidents,
yeah,
sitting
yeah,
governors, Emir of Kano. Oh, sorry, three ex presidents, two ex Nigerian president, one ex Ghana president.
yeah,
Bruh, come on.
yeah.
This is a young man. I don't know, maybe 50s or 40s, but
It
still a
doesn't look
young man.
50s. It looks, yeah, it looks in his
Yeah, he looks
40s,
like he's
I
in
would
his
say.
40s or late 30s,
Yeah,
to be honest.
yeah,
But a young
yeah.
man doing amazing things. I don't know how he started. This is not me saying I know
That's not the
what he
topic.
did
Yeah,
or blah blah blah.
yeah.
But I'm just saying that if he was not in Nigeria, he wouldn't be able to plug into that kind of influence and power to pull out, and not just any
I
ex-president.
think
He pulled out
that's
Olusegun Obasanjo and Goodluck Jonathan, pulled
yeah.
them out from where they were, and they traveled to Lagos. Pulled out the ex-president of Ghana, I think John Mama or Momo, from Ghana to pulled out the emir of Kano from Kano to Lagos. Put the governor of Lagos State was there. The governor of Osun State, Adeleke, was there just to see a young Nigerian launch his hotel. Do you know how many hotels get? Do you know how many people from the diaspora come to Nigeria and open up amazing properties and hotels and businesses,
Mhm,
and you can't
mhm,
have that pool without being connected to your country, and that makes a
yeah,
huge difference. Whether you
yeah.
don't know that it's important, look at the move that Adebayo Ogunlesi has just made. Right, Adebayo Ogunlesi
It's a position.
uh,
Yeah.
now sold his a huge share. He sold his edge investment firm to BlackRock or Blackstone,
I think
and they have now.
foundations.
And immediately, what did you see? Adebayo Ogunlesi in Aso Rock, because it doesn't matter. That is where it is. As a Nigerian, as someone that has been a Nigerian, say you're now a citizen of somewhere else, but you have always been a Nigerian. Thankfully, Nigeria don't let you. Nigeria is actually one of those countries that don't let you denounce your citizenship that easily, and
Yeah.
that's why we get a pass. I know that, for example, Germany allows, before they change the law, you can
They
have
just
dual
yeah,
citizenship because
yeah,
Nigeria won't let you go. Like, come on, this is your home. What are you doing? But
yeah.
Adebayo Ogunlesi is, speaking with the president Bola Ahmed Tinubu about businesses that can happen. So the money is here, guys. The money is
Yeah.
here. But I mean, that's my opinion. That's my
I
opinion.
mean,
And
like
and
a
it's
hundred
interesting that we
percent.
have yeses and nos, and even for me within myself, I still have a yes in there.
I mean, I feel like I
It's
have
just it's a very
a
tough
yes
decision
and
to
no in
make.
my
Yeah,
exactly.
there are just
Yeah.
questions you have to answer.
Before.
And I think from my perspective, it's because I'm not looking at the 4.5 million standalone. If you ask me 4.5 million for a life or whatever, I'm definitely absolutely moving. Right. But I'm looking at the network and the opportunity that comes with being in a position that I'm getting 4.5 million,
Yeah.
places that I can go into. And I always say this, it's a very different world in over here.
That's
But
right. Yeah.
over here, if you're
Definitely
still
is.
earning 200, 300K, most of your circle would still be just 1,000 nears. Let me put it this way. Like, there's a very clear distinctions between wealth level. In Nigeria, the guy that is getting 50 million will can have access to the guy that is getting a billion. And it
Yeah.
would almost look like, oh, what's going on? But in the
They'll
West, there's a
almost even
very
go to the same
clear cut
places. Like, yeah,
separation.
but like,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly.
In the
Yeah.
West, the separation is so clear cut that it doesn't quickly translate to access,
Yeah.
but
You
it
live different
translates
lives.
to access more in Nigeria. But anyways, that's my opinion on that.
I mean,
Um,
to also just finalize on that, it's also the point where when you decide to move out for, okay, 4.5 million naira is a lot of money every month, and you feel like, oh, it's not, or for whatever reason. To kind of summarize your point is being a Nigerian or any citizen, for example, of any country outside of your country, it's quite difficult to solve a problem. That's what the e-commerce thing that I thought you were trying to bring up. Like, I'm just trying to like, yeah, say like different. Like, it's quite because for me, my that was one of my thinkings. Like my thinking when I was like living, like, oh, yeah, I could solve problems here and there. But to be honest, there you have to like be outside of you have to be there just like you said to be able to actually solve problem and be able to start businesses that could actually even scale or that could be the
Yeah,
most
because there's
magicians
there's a
that I
lot of
know.
information that you won't have access to
Exactly,
that quickly.
exactly. Yeah, so that's one of the things I think one would miss
I
out
mean, look
on.
at the people that have. We have a lot of Nigerians. It's very common to see people moving back from Europe. A lot of Europeans go back, and I think this might have to do with the way the European system is also set up
Set up.
with the
Yeah,
taxation and all that stuff compared to America, which I would almost argue that we have less people moving back from the US. But from Europe, we have a lot of people moving back to solve problems in Nigeria, but it
mm,
takes moving back to be able to do that as well. So it means that
yeah.
even when you leave, you need to really spend a lot of time back home to be able to
But
connect
because a
again
lot
to being
has
able to
changed.
solve
Yeah,
problems. Yeah.
yeah.
But cool. All right. So I think we have one other section before we call it a day.
Yes, sir.
Uh, so I think that, by the way, that was a very interesting conversation, and I really do like, sometimes not exactly having the same answers to this thing, even though we know. I'm pretty sure people are like, well, when the same answer, and we're going in the jar. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see. It's good
Different
to see
perspective.
the different answers that could possibly come to this. But I mean, that is by the way.